From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China and back to the streets of Anaheim, California, where the UFC is coming. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about but may be afraid to voice. Do not worry, we will voice it for you. We talk about everything. No holds barred radio, folks. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, UFC, entertainment, politics, and news stories. Happy and not so happy. And we got to cover some stuff today. TJ, how are you? TJ DeSantis, producer, co-host. My friend.
Good, Buff. I'm good. You know, it's one of those things you mentioned Anaheim, and people out here don't really realize the difference between LA County and Orange County, and the UFC being down here in Orange County. To me, it probably feels for you like it's up. Might as well just be in Vegas. I know it's a car ride and isn't a flight necessarily, but it might as well be in a different state entirely.
It is. It's different. It's in a different area. You know, it's going to take me an hour and a half to get there, whatever the case might be. I can stay overnight down there. I'll make that decision today. A lot of spin-it decisions are to be made, but it's a hell of a show coming up. We'll cover that as we covered it before, but I want to go over some stuff before we do that, okay?
All right. What's on your mind?
First off, Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs, reigning supreme.
Yeah, what a crazy game.
Them. I gave the pick last week, plus the points. They came in. The first half, defensive game. Second half, turned into a hell of a Super Bowl. Halftime with Usher, I thought was one of the best halftimes I've ever seen.
I don't know, Buff. They had some microphone issues with Usher. Like, it wasn't working at first. But
Not at first, but just the moves and the choreography and everything.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Were
I mean,
incredible.
he's a phenomenal performer. I just felt like the other singers, like Ludacris and Lil Jon, they had stick mics, and they just sounded a lot better on it. But I guess that's the trade-off, like you said. He's a dancer, so he has to kind of have that headset mic, which doesn't always deliver the best signal.
Yeah, and you know what? It's all good because I will say the stick mics work best. The wireless mic worked best. I've worked with both the mics, the one with the headphones that they had and everything else, and I personally like the stick phone. I personally like the wireless the best, which works out for me. So,
no, 100%. He's so mobile, too. You don't know if that little pack that he's wearing, if it gets, jarred a little bit, if there's not a connection that's working or something like that. The roller skates, though, Buff, that was really impressive.
It was phenomenal, you know. It was really phenomenal, and I give him credit because the man's in shape, obviously, to do what he did. It was an awesome performance. I was pretty well enamored of all of his talent, and he proved it. And it was just completely entertaining. So, I mean, I was very happy with it.
Yeah. It was weird, though, watching the game. The way that the Chiefs go into halftime, I mean, they were making it seem like on the broadcast that was an insurmountable point difference, and they weren't going to be able to come back. And I don't know what that narrative was all about. Don't get me wrong. It was dramatic, and it was great. You know, it was a much more contentious ball game than some people thought it would be. Some people thought that San Francisco was rightfully the favorite. A lot of people thought it was crazy that anybody would bet against Patrick Mahomes. But did you feel like they were overblowing the fact that the Chiefs were down? Because it felt like they were down by 3 scores with the narrative of the commentators.
Did I think it was over
the different, like, did you feel like the Chiefs were being made to be bigger underdogs than they actually were going into halftime being down? Because again, it felt to me like Jim Nantz was making it seem like they were down 3 scores rather than, just one possession.
Yeah, you could look at it that way, but at the same time, the Chiefs have come back from 10-point deficits to win, I think, 2 Super Bowls, if I'm not incorrect on that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they were making too big of a deal of the point difference.
Listen, you're a commentator. You understand how commentators work. Anything can happen. But the bottom line is, no matter what they say, we're all watching the game. We're all watching the performances. I mean, Travis Kelce, I don't think he had a catch much to speak of in the first half.
Not much to yell about with his coach. My goodness.
I didn't like the idea that he bumped into him. I thought that was very unprofessional.
Yeah.
I think he's apologized for it. I don't think there's anything good to be said about it. I know they have a relationship, and it was talked about how they get along with each other, but that is just so wrong. And frankly, it's something that a player should be fined for.
He owned up to it. I don't know. It was interesting to me how okay with it Andy Reid was, like almost immediately.
I think that comes down to their personal relationship between each other.
Right. I mean,
but
this better than anybody.
That doesn't transpose to film when we're watching it.
Yeah, I was going to say, this better than anybody. Highly competitive people, whether it be in business or sport. they don't deal well with frustration and losing. And, I guess it was good for them to voice it. Maybe he doesn't treat another coach that way necessarily, but, you're always the role model guy. And that's a message that doesn't, like you said, doesn't play very well on film. And, I hope no one at home watching it, young players themselves ever think that they have a license to do that because Travis Kelce did.
No, it's we're all again role model examples, right?
Yeah.
And especially when you're in the Super Bowl playing at that height of a level, that kind of visibility, the amount of people, 110 plus million people, 125 million, whatever it was watching.
More people than watched the moon landing or something like that. It was the highest viewed Super Bowl essentially in the history of the game.
I know, and some people are going to say Taylor Swift has something to do with that.
Well, what's interesting to me is going into it, Bruce, I had never heard more people say they were uninterested in, who the particulars were, the teams playing one another, that they said they weren't going to watch it. Well, that clearly wasn't the case come Sunday evening.
Well, the over-under on when Taylor Swift was going to be shown on TV was 5.5.
Yeah.
Right? I bet the over.
Oh,
I think it wound up being like 9 or 10 times.
Yeah.
And just think if you were the director of that show and you knew that bet was being made, you call your buddy and say, hey, put 50 grand on this for me, and I'll make sure they show her 6 or 7 times.
So it's interesting. I saw an Instagram post today where this guy said he won 100 grand on the prop bet of there being a streaker in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And he paid his buddy 60 grand to be the streaker. And sure enough, he cashed it. There's video of him, collecting. And I'm sitting there going, is this legal? Like, are you able to bet on something like that and then ensure you're able to cash it by getting your buddy to be the
in that case scenario that you're explaining? I don't see why not. The guy got on the field. He streaked.
Yeah.
He made it. Whether the guy pushed him or not, it's not a collusion at that point. It's not like the referee shading a situation so the points get made.
I guess. I mean, my thing is, first off, don't talk about it. Like, I don't know what you're like. That tells me
keep it quiet, do your thing, and shut up.
Yeah, the Instagram notoriety clearly means more to that person than the money, which is just sort of weird. But also, too, the idea of what the term streaking is has changed, apparently. Because to me, Buff, if you're streaking, it means you're naked. Nowadays, kids just seem to think that if you're on the field running around, you're streaking. That's not streaking.
No, streaking is full nudity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I could care less if I see. I have no interest.
Yeah, I mean...
Everybody wants to be famous, TJ, and they're all doing it for the wrong...
But they're not
Many
famous.
of them are doing it for the wrong reasons.
They're not famous. Like, I don't even... the word fame is interesting to me, because I think there's maybe like 5 people that are famous in the world. Taylor Swift is one of them. But is Travis Kelce famous? I don't think so.
Oh, he's famous in his own world.
To me, fame means I can put you on any continent in this planet and people are going to mob you. That's fame.
But that comes down to a certain number of individuals, of which Taylor Swift, of course, is one of them.
Yeah.
You could name many, many others.
I don't think we can name many, many others.
You can?
No. Any continent in this world? We're talking about a handful of people.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is potentially one. Yeah.
J-Lo.
Okay.
I mean, you want to go on and on? I mean,
yeah. We've named 3, not many.
No, not many. Of course, it's just like anything else. The top 1%, 2% make all the money in the world.
Sure.
Right. And there's like the top 1%, 2% of what we call celebrities, if not
they're
less,
famous.
might have
like
that
Paul
kind of
McCartney's famous. Post Malone, not famous.
I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's a tight-knit group.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those group, it's very hard to travel around. Very
I
hard.
can't imagine.
I would not want that kind of fame whatsoever.
No. I mean, you deal with notoriety every day. You step out of your house. I'm sure that can be daunting at times.
It has its moments.
Yeah.
You mentioned Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney was just reunited with his stolen guitar that kicked off Beatlemania some 50 years ago.
Wow.
It was returned to him. After 50 years of being out, God knows where.
Lost in the wind.
Lost in the wind, then somebody brings it back. Good for him. I could see that being very, very cool. Imagine what that guitar is worth.
I mean, that's the problem when you steal something like that. Like, what are you going to do? You can't really sell it for its actual value because it's stolen property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, Buff. Like, it's interesting when we hear about these, like, art heists. It's like, you're going to steal this, priceless painting, but what are you going to do with it? You can't bring it to auction. You can't really sell it to anybody.
there's a black market out there. I mean, if you know where the black market is, and people will buy anything, that's where they buy these Rembrandts. They buy things that are obviously known to have been stolen.
Right.
They'd be arrested in a heartbeat if found out about it, but they just want to possess it.
I guess it's weird to me.
By the way, we were talking the Super Bowl, a couple other things. Drake, he bet big money. He bet $1.5 million on the Kansas City Chiefs. I guess that'll match the million or so he lost in a recent bet on a UFC fight. Who knows?
He's upside down.
Who he's betting on tomorrow night?
He's upside down and all that stuff. It seems like I feel like every time Drake puts money on a fighter, they end up losing.
And it blows me away, but it's completely realistic. Kanye West had what some people consider not too great a Super Bowl ad, but he ranked up some 19 million in Yeezy sales right after the ad. 19 million. And when you know the fact that it was $7 million, I think, for 30 seconds of a Super Bowl ad. $7 million. And I know that I thought the Super Bowl commercials this year were very, very cool. Probably some of the best commercials I've seen in a while. Starting off with the one where the players are flying through the air, the Ravens are in the tree, the Eagles are in the air. That was a very inventive commercial. Homes.com, they had a commercial almost every quarter, so they spent in the area of $28 million. It's all about brand awareness, because still there were some commercials that came on, and I've said it before on the show. You see these commercials, they're very fancy, they're very cool, but what were they talking about?
Yeah, you get lost in the message. You don't remember
what was that about.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, we had the Super Bowl, and then they had the Super Bowl parade, and tragically that shooting took place at the Super Bowl parade. It's been put out that it wasn't a terrorist act, whatever, but it was horrific.
Was it a personal conflict between two people?
That's what I read. I don't know the full details, but I do commend the people that tackled, especially the father and daughter that tackled the suspects.
Yeah.
They're heroes, give them medals, give them a parade, because God knows how many people, aside from tragically the 20 or more that were wounded and the people that died. I don't know whether it was one or two or three, whatever the case might be. It's horrific. But their citizens stood up, took it in their hands, and saved the day. Who knows how many more people would have been hurt. But what a tragic way. And also, speaking of Taylor Swift, she donated $100,000 to the family of the woman that was killed. It was one person of the woman who was killed at the parade shooting.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's a drop in the bucket, but you know what? It's a very generous thing, but it doesn't bring the person back.
No, absolutely not. But it's the thought that counts. I understand. I don't understand why people kind of pick at that. She was given $100 to stadium workers, on her way out of a game recently, and people are like, well, it's only $100. Why is she doing that? And it's like, guys, she doesn't have to give anybody anything. Why are you saying it's not enough? I don't understand.
It's the gesture, you know. And she's very generous, and I give her credit. She seems like she's very talented. She seems like a lovely person. I have nothing negative to say about Taylor Swift.
No, and she's
living her life. She's enjoying her man.
Yeah, and
let them be happy. Let everybody be happy.
She seems to take care of the people that are closest to her as well. I guess if you work on her tour, minimum, everyone makes six figures. Everyone on the tour makes six figures, from the truck drivers to the personal assistants to everybody. That's
good,
phenomenal.
As it should be.
Yeah,
without question. Okay, so congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, and to everybody that was hurt in that parade with that shooting. My sincere condolences go out to you and your family. So needless in so many different ways. It just makes me so sad to see that happen.
I'm with you.
Okay. All right, and as usual, we have to go from a negative to a positive to a negative, but that's what talking about the news is all about. Delta on the airlines is paying $1.4 billion in profit-sharing payments to its employees. Good for Delta. We talked about sharing the wealth just a second ago. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really, really great. I can think of a lot of companies that make huge profits, but they don't share with their employees, and that's a way for employees to feel like they're part of the company, and that's one way to bring everybody together, which I think is a wonderful quality in owners and managers of a company. And then Delta had a flight that was forced back to Amsterdam. You know why?
Why?
You've heard of snakes on a plane, of course.
Of course.
How about maggots?
Oh.
Yep. On the plane, it was departing Amsterdam, Netherlands, bound for Detroit, Michigan. And 1 hour into the flight, it had to turn back after maggots fell on a passenger from an overhead bin. Don't they clean these things?
Well, I mean, to me, it sounds like it was on someone's luggage.
Maybe it could have been, but
Because
still
there's not an
disgusting.
any. I mean, maggots generally are in like rotten food and things like that.
You're
There's no
correct. As I
way.
look at this, it says passenger's bag. It contained rotten fish wrapped in newspaper.
Yeah.
How the heck did they get through the security with rotten fish wrapped in newspaper?
I mean, I don't know. Every place is different. I don't know what the international laws are. I know if you try to bring food here through TSA, they tend to want to look at it, and I think that's more to ensure that they're not edibles these days. But yeah, generally, if you have any organic material you're trying to bring through security, they ask you to take it out and show it.
Yeah, exactly. How was your Valentine's Day, TJ?
It was good. My wife was sick, unfortunately.
I'm
She
sorry
had
to
a
hear
touch of
that.
something, so it was low key. It was good though.
All right, very cool. Always a special day for a lot of people out there. God knows the restaurants you're going out to on Valentine's Day, they're getting so expensive, TJ.
Oh,
You know,
dude, yeah.
it's I mean, prices are prices. I don't mind paying a good price for good food, but some of the places I've eaten at lately, I look at the bill and I'm like, oh my God. I used to be you got out of a restaurant for two for $150, a fine restaurant.
Yeah.
Now it's getting up to even as much as 300-400, depending on where you're going.
So I brought my wife out to a nice dinner last week because with the UFC being here this week, I didn't know what my schedule would be like. So we went out and 411 with the tip, Buff. 411. And it wasn't bad food, but it wasn't a $400 meal. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, I know, and you got to check. You have to really check closely what you're when the bill comes
Yeah.
because they tack on these service charges, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's 5%. I think there was another. Was my trainer was telling me he and his wife went out, and he noticed that it said 5%, and you can elect not to pay the 5%. But not many people will scan the bill.
Right.
I'm actually one of them that doesn't always scan the bill, and I should, because you can decline paying the 5%. And then when I added it up, let's say they serve 50 meals a night over the course of a week, it came to like an extra 3,500 or so a week,
Yeah.
which is like an extra 15,000 a month,
Yeah.
just on that 5%. It's imagine how the littlest little thing can add up. And I'm all
Yeah.
about making money as a company,
Sure.
but there comes a point where the question is, are you gouging people?
Yeah, well, offer something for that. Like, what is the markup for? You know what I mean? That's what I don't understand. With the meal that I was telling you about, there was 18% gratuity worked into the bill, and I added 2% because I wanted to make the tip 20. But I just find it funny that the bill already had gratuity into it. I understand, adding gratuity for like big parties. You know what I mean? Like generally, I hear of a gratuity being added to the bill for parties of like 15 or more. But for just me and my wife to have gratuity built in, and like also I thought it was interesting that it was 18% because like what am I? If I'm most people I think are likely to just go, well, the tip's already there. I'm good. They're probably not going to add the extra 2% to make it, the traditional 20%. But I just found it curious that was the case.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you know what? Good to everybody. Hope you all had a great meal. Since COVID, prices have changed in so many different ways. Since COVID, so many things have changed in so many different ways. So I just hope everybody's making enough money to enjoy themselves and pay their bills. Life is cash flow, TJ.
100%. And like that's the thing too. I don't know if people are gouging, if it truly is inflation. It's just interesting because like that same meal that I had with my wife pre-COVID is probably $250. You know what I mean? It's not $400.
I know. I agree with you. Want to thank everybody at medicaleverything.com, our sponsor for the show. Please check out medicaleverything.com for health and wellness and great articles on how to take care of yourself and be better and live a very healthy life. Because as we always say, you can have all the wealth in the world, but without health, it's nothing. So medicaleverything.com, right?
Yeah.
Taking care of yourself, TJ, staying healthy.
Yeah, I'm trying,
Name of the game. Big
Doing
show
what I
tomorrow,
can.
TJ. Big show, UFC 298. Let's chat about it a second before we head off. I gotta get down to Anaheim.
Yeah.
Volkanovski and Ilya Topuria. I was admiring Volkanovski acting like the old man at the press conference yesterday.
It's a bit that works well for him. He's embraced that quite a bit, which I just think it's crazy. He's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and it seems like the masses have decided, I mean, not all, everyone, but a lot of people have decided that the wheels are going to fall off because he's 35 years old and yada, yada, yada.
Wheels aren't going to fall off Alexander Volkanovski. Watch him train. He's a beast. Topuria, one of the best all-around undefeated mixed martial arts artists in the game. Definitely a qualified challenger for the featherweight title. Volkanovski.
You know what the line is on this fight, Buff? It's crazy to me.
What is it?
Minus 125 is Volkanovski. Plus 105 for Topuria. Who knows what's going to be after the ceremonial weigh-ins today. People might, lean towards Topuria to where he could potentially even be minus money. It could be a pick'em fight. I mean, it pretty much is a pick'em fight at this point, but we might even see Volkanovski, edge towards an actual plus money underdog in this fight.
Interesting. We'll see. I don't bet fights, but I mean, to me, it sounds pretty well even at this point. You would think it would be a little more of a stretch. But when it changes, it's all about where the betting money goes. It's all about who's betting on. That's what changes the odds.
That's why I bring it up. I find it funny that Volkanovski's not at least a minus 150 favorite just because he's been lording over this division. And like a lot of people talk about 35 years old, people seem to forget that some fighters don't come into their prime until their mid-30s. Like Randy Couture's entire career was after 35. I know it was a different time and place, but I mean Volkanovski doesn't strike me as a guy who has really ever looked old. He's only really had problems with Makhachev. So I don't know. It's weird.
We'll see. Randy Couture, he won the championship, 43, 44 years old, became the heavyweight champion again, three-time Hall of Famer. I loved introducing Randy Couture. We'll see what happens with Volkanovski. I'll tell you who's given me the longest introduction to the evening is Henry Cejudo.
Triple C?
Triple C. Got a lot of introduction there, plus his ranking as a third-ranked contender in the bantamweight division. His fight with Merab is going to be a very interesting, very tough fight. Him coming back, being the warrior that he is. Looking forward to seeing Henry Cejudo do his thing. I was just
going to say, I think the longest introduction will probably be Ian Machado Gary, no?
No, why would that be the longest?
He's got 3 names. Is he not ranked in the top 15? So you probably have a ranking there.
He's ranked number 10.
Yeah, so you have a ranking, you'll have 3 names and his nickname.
I am going to answer that question for you right now. Okay. He's right after the Cejudo fight. No. The longest one is Henry Cejudo.
How? Oh, former champion?
Well, yeah, he's the 2008 Olympic gold medalist.
I got you there.
Former flyweight champion.
I just thought we were talking names.
No, names-wise, yes. Ian Machado is the longest one, for sure. I mean, Merab Dvalishvili is not exactly short either. But Ian Machado Gary will come out very, very easy. That'll be fine. I like introducing him, and I really look forward to watching him fight too. The fight I'm looking forward to is Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to all the fights, but that's going to be a brawl. Costa looks great. I mean, the man is just a specimen beyond belief. And Amanda Lemos and Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie's 7th-ranked contender, Amanda number 3. That's going to be a fight for it all, for sure. And the heavyweight bout between Marcos Rogerio de Lima and Justin Tafa, that's going to be, somebody's going down in that fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is a great card. And it's interesting because we're all, focusing on 300. It's not too far around the corner. Still some questions about what might be the main event there. But to still have, supporting cards leading up to it that are stacked, I'm fairly confident in calling this card pretty talent-rich and stacked.
Yeah, very talented. Next week is Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting. There'll be some names to announce in that one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Practicing my Española. But it's not Yola, it's Espanol.
Yeah. Good luck for you. Like I can't roll my R's. That's really hard for me. So
practice makes perfect. It's fun. I enjoy getting into the Spanish language. It's rolling the R's, the names. There's a lot of punch to them, romanticism to some of them. It's going to be very cool. And it's going to be exciting in Mexico City. God knows that the populace of Mexico coming to that show are going to be very excited sitting in the arena watching the fighters do their thing in the octagon that night.
Oh, 100%. Brandon Moreno on that card as well. It's going to be phenomenal.
No, it's a huge card. Yeah. Okay, TJ, what's going on with you?
Well, as we record this Friday, this will be up later today as well. If you are going out to the Honda Center, or the Honda Pond, as I like to call it, for UFC 298, we'll be live tomorrow with extra rounds from noon to 4 inside the UFC fan experience. Going to be hanging out with Jason Anik, John's brother, and remember the name, Bilal Muhammad, potentially the number 1 contender at welterweight. So come out. Also going to be joined by Craig Jones, who's going to be working the corner of Alexander Volkanovski. Craig's got a fight coming up in the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. Nicky Rod will be joining us to talk some grappling as well. The King, Callum Walsh, he's got a boxing match coming up at the theater at Madison Square Garden next month. He's going to come out and talk about that. So very busy day on extra rounds. We're also going to play a game, Buff, where I'm going to take UFC personalities, turn them into Disney characters, and see what people think about it and if they can identify the personality. Would you like to see your mug as a Disney character?
Sure.
There we go.
Oh, very cool. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know why I gave you a mustache.
That's
But I
okay.
mean, it's going back to the old days where you had that mustache going on.
I like it. Put me in the next animated movie. I'll do it. I'll do the voiceover for sure. That's actually pretty cool. Thanks, TJ. You kind of like did me a little justice there. Gave me a little smile.
That was all AI. I didn't do it. I'm not artistic enough to do any of that.
AI, what do we have to expect from AI? God knows where that AI is going to take us. It's going to
The
cause
end of the
great
world.
things. It's going to cause problems.
Yeah. But anyway, extra rounds tomorrow, noon to 4, out at the Fan Experience in Anaheim.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, for me, it's all about UFC tomorrow night, Anaheim, California, UFC 298. Time to roar from the Octagon. I'm looking forward to it. Los Angeles, local crowd, probably be a good Hollywood crowd there. Endeavor bringing in their people. People coming down from Hollywood and LA to go to Disneyland territory to see the UFC. I assume the show is sold out. Have you heard?
I assume, yeah.
I would think it would have to be.
It's not often the UFC comes to California.
In 2 years.
Right, yeah. But also, too, just with a pay-per-view like this, I think the last time they were here was San Diego for a fight night. So, Orange County.
Which I did not do.
Yeah, Orange County, big UFC card, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters headlining. If it's not sold out, I would be blown away.
I'm with you on that one. Let's see what else. Oh, I want to thank everybody too for the cameo orders that came in, during Valentine's Day. I've been flush with a lot of cameo orders this month for birth of babies. TJ, a lot of babies
Really?
being born. Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Birthdays, championship intros. It's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun doing this. I'll tell you the one thing though, the orders coming into my website at brucebuffer.com. I think I mentioned it before. I thought that the summertime and fall was the time for weddings, but a lot of weddings. I've been doing like 5 or more weddings a week.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people getting married, wanting audio and video introductions. And
I wonder if that isn't something to do with COVID, too, because if you remember, for the longest time, no one could get married, and then there was a very long backlog of places to get it done. So maybe people have been forced to sort of spread out their desired dates.
more power to them, more happiness to them. I mean, I'm announcing them as they take that first walk down the aisle of love forever. It's just, it's really very cool. And one thing Kristen, my partner, and I, we love is these thank you notes that come in. I told you before, TJ, being totally candid with you, I get tears in my eyes sometimes. The thank you notes I get that I'm part of. When I,
Right.
I'm not like, yeah, but I mean, it's just it
Sure,
touches me.
Buff.
It
And-
touches me to be part of somebody's special day.
Yeah. And, if all goes well, it's the only day like that they're supposed to have in their life. So,
Well, let's
for
hope
you
for
to
that.
be right, exactly. But
Yeah.
for you to be part of it, that's special.
Well, as long as it's a positive note as they go forward in the whole 9 yards. All right, here it is, February 16th. The year's going fast already, TJ.
It is. I know. Yeah.
It's coming in. Now, I have something very important to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Today is my anniversary, 28 years in the Octagon.
Today.
Today.
Congrats, Buff.
Today.
Wow.
Bayamon, Puerto Rico, UFC number 8, did the prelims, 1996, February 16th. Incredible, huh?
That is. Absolutely.
28 years.
2 days before my wife and I's official dating anniversary. On the 18th, it'll be 19 years for my wife and I. together.
Congratulations on that. That's a wonderful earmark in your life. And congratulations to your lovely wife, too.
Thank you. You did our wedding.
Yep, I know. There we go. Wedding, see? Started with you, TJ, and then just kept taking off.
There you go.
All right, everybody, it's been a pleasure to roar for you for 28 years. I don't know if I was necessarily roaring in the beginning, but it became a roar eventually.
It was it was growing, okay?
It was growing looking back, but I look forward to the next 2. I want to make 30, and the next 5 after that, make 35, and then we'll discuss where it's going from there.
Probably more zeros in the contract.
Yeah, probably more. We'll see. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for tuning into the show. Thank you, everybody, for supporting me over 28 years with my career in the Octagon. Thank you, everybody, for supporting TJ and I for 17 years.
Something like that, too.
Something like that. I can't even keep track of It's Time Radio. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy. See you from the Octagon Saturday night. Set your goals, write them down, so when you step on that yellow brick road to your future, you be the best you can be, because if you're the best you can be, then you're winning. And that's what we're always about in It's Time Radio. It's about winning, being the best you can be, being healthy, and being a role model to your sphere of influence. Let's all stick together and make this life more beautiful and healthier for everybody around us so we can all be happy. Sound good, TJ?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, everybody. Buffer out. Big cheers. No fears forever. See you next week.